Hello, guys, and welcome to Hall of Fame Sessions. I am Deana Delebre, and today we're here to talk about mixing from a truck or how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected our workflow. Today, I am joined by two titans of the audio industry. First, we have 2010 Hall of Fame inductee, Leslie Brathwaite, who is a mix engineer and producer, whose credits include artists like Pharrell Williams, Outkast, Beyonce, and it goes on and on. We are also joined by 2017 Hall of Fame inductee, Tremaine Williams, who's an audio engineer whose credits include artists like 50 Cent, Boyz II Men, Janet Jackson, and on tour with Mariah Carey and Bruno Mars. Before I turn this session over to them, there's a few housekeeping items I want to go over. We really want to spend this time with you and give you guys the opportunity to connect not only with our Hall of Famers, but also with each other. So we do encourage you to use that chat feature. Now, remember, please keep it professional and on topic. And please make sure that when you're responding, you're setting it to all panelists and attendees so everyone can see your responses. We also request that you use your real names during this session because we are tracking for attendance and the possibility of GPS points. And lastly, if you have questions for any of our alumni, please make sure you're using the Q&A feature, as that's the best way to connect with us, and we'll be reading some of those questions throughout the session. But now what you're really here for, I'm going to turn it over to Leslie and Tremaine. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
A virtual round of applause.
She called us Titans, Leslie. Titans.
We are Titans.
Audio industry.
Tremaine, you are like 6'7", so like you definitely fall in that territory.
Okay,
Yeah, fast. You can't even fit in the camera. Like
I'm sitting there like
you tall for the camera.
So guys, I'm going to turn this over to you, and we'd love to just kind of learn a little bit about how has the world changed since the shutdown back in March, and what is your life like, and what is your job like now that we're all struggling with the effects of the pandemic?
Tremaine.
All right. I'll go first, I guess. So like when everything happened, basically the week after Hall of Fame,
right? Literally,
the world shut down. I low key went into a panic because I was like, everything for the last couple of years has been pretty much based around touring and being out and being around crowds of more than 100 people, more than 10 people. So I was a little shook, not gonna lie. But I also had a couple projects lined up of people I was supposed to be mixing. And so that stuff kind of just kept going, thankfully. And I just ended up setting up shop and just mixing as much as I could. And then over the last couple months, things have picked up more as far as my clientele knowing that I'm available to mix, because people stopped hitting me for a while because I was out on the road so much. So the clientele picked up, and then like in the last probably 2 months, went and shot a movie, which was a mind-blowing experience of filming something to the scale that we were filming it in COVID. That was a lot. And then just this past weekend and filming an award show, a virtual award show. And like, this is a show I've shot for the last 3 or 4 years, and having to do it in this format was very strange. But luckily, like, I'm staying busy, so I can't complain. Leslie?
And I want to touch on a couple of things that you've said, not even just now, but before, where you've always said, what I thought was cool about what you've always said too was keeping things in your tool belt, making sure that you have a couple skills and a couple things, and being open. And so I think those two things served you well, because you were open to, once COVID hit and, touring slowed down and you started shifting more over to the studio stuff. And you and I had been talking about that a lot. So I thought that was cool that you were able to use those tools to kind of switch over, always keeping open-minded. For me, well, here's a little story all about how My life got twisted upside down.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. I mean, we came back from Hall of Fame, and on my way back, I'd gotten word that 2 of the people at the studio had tested positive. So I was like, knowing me, anybody who know me know I'm a germaphobe by nature. So I'm not touching nobody for a minute. I'm not going to the studio. I already on the drive back, I'm like, I'm checked out. Like, I'm not going to the studio. So we had decided to shut the studio down, me and the other partners there. And I was like, okay, I got to mix from home. I got to figure it out. And my first thought process was, well, I don't have a treated room at home, but I'm going to make it work. I can figure it out, And I was like, you know what? I was thinking on the way up when I was driving back, I was like, yo, we always check our mixes in the truck. And I've done it before where I kind of snuck in a mix in the truck. I plugged into the aux thing. I actually did it on Full Sail's campus one time where I couldn't get in the studio. There was a class in there and I needed to do something real quick. So I just plugged in the aux cord, kind of blended something in the truck, and I like how it sounded. And then I was like, I wonder if I could do this for a while. Like, I wonder if I could actually mix in the truck for a minute. So I just went in there, plugged into the aux, just had the laptop, the Apollo, and I decided to give it a shot. And I actually liked how the mix came out. I really liked it. I thought it was cool. And so I was like, okay, this can work. I was like, that's when I kind of got comfortable with the idea of, okay, I don't have to panic anymore. Because I think we all kind of went into that little panic mode that Tremaine talked about where, like, I was like, wait a minute, how are we going to work for the next few? Like, this pandemic ain't going to be over quick. So once I mixed the first record in there, I was like, cool. And then I started realizing, like, it was a vibe. Like, I'm in the truck. I got it sounds good in there. I ain't making noise in the house, so I can be in the truck blasting and they don't really hear it. They ain't messing with me. I got my own little office space, kind of. What's cool about vehicles, too, is the interiors are designed with sound in mind. So, like, it's a lot of padded surfaces. Like we talked about this, Tremaine. There's a lot of padded surfaces. Even the windows, the hard surfaces are like kind of caved and, all that kind of stuff, all curved. So it really made for a dope environment to like mix records in. And I started like really thinking about it. I started looking around the truck like, how can I fit my focals in here? Like, can I fit everything in here? Because now I got projects coming up like, okay, Cardi B needs to mix this single. They finally decided on WAP. And when I heard WAP, it was like the dirtiest record I ever heard in life. And I was like, okay, great. We're going to mix this one. This is a single. Awesome. So I was like, well, I need
in the house.
Yeah, I need my real. I can't mix that in the house for sure. I got to mix that in the truck. I got 2 young girls and a wife. So I'm like,
right.
We in the car with that one. But so I was like, well, I got to get my real setup in there because these are high quality, high level clients. So I pulled my focals in there. I fold down to 2. So I got a Cadillac Escalade. So it's 3 rows. So I sit in the 3rd row. I folded down to 2 captain's chairs that's in the 2nd row. And then I put the speakers on top of those, on top of some cushions. And then I got like this little desk that it's funny how things work out. I just happened to go up in the attic and I was like, what can I use to put my stuff on? I saw this little half of a top of a desk. And I was like, I wonder if that'll fit in my truck. And when I tell you it fit perfectly in there, it's like it was meant to happen. It literally fit perfectly to the specs. Like you would think they cut that to the specs of the truck. It was just like, It was just meant to happen. So put it in there, set up my stuff. I put the KRK sub right between the captain's chairs, the 2nd row, right there, right behind the little console in the 1st row. Yeah. And I just jammed out and I was like, yo, this is sounding pretty good. And WAP was one of the first records I mixed on that setup. And I'm one of those kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm like superstitious, but when you find some good energy, you keep it. So, WAP being one of the first records I mixed on that setup, and it turned out like everybody's pretty nasty. So everybody likes it.
Number 1 record in the world, literally.
Yeah. And because I ain't gonna lie, at first I was skeptical. I was like, man, this record is too dirty. Like this ain't gonna work. And it turns out the entire world is pretty nasty. Yeah.
They're nasty.
So
how are you powering everything?
Good question.
Yeah.
So Now, I do have power in the truck. I do have an outlet in the truck, but the outlet in the truck is not strong enough to carry. It won't hold all the wattage of like the Focals, the Sub, the Apollo. It can power the Apollo, and it can power some low end speakers or lower wattage speakers. But what I did is, so for safety reasons, I got to make this clear. The truck is on while I'm mixing so I can have AC and everything, but I backed the truck out of the garage slightly so that the exhaust is getting out all the way out of the garage. Obviously, keep the garage door up. You got to tell people these things.
Exactly.
You got to say this,
Walk them through it.
Yeah, because I don't want to promote something that, is dangerous. So the garage door is open. The truck is backed out of the garage. Exhaust is coming out. And then what I did is I ran a power strip. So I plug into the garage, just a outlet in the garage, and ran a long power strip into the car. And, the doors are insulated to where even if you close the door on a power cord, the insulation kind of sucks around the cord. So you're not really like damaging the cord or anything. So I got the power strip in there. And I'm plugging the speakers in, the sub. So the only thing that's plugged in, I think it's 5 things plugged in. Both Focals, the sub, the Apollo, and the laptop. And then we're good
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how I'm powering everything. And like I said, I mixed WAP in there and I was like, yo, WAP went number 1. There's some good energy. Let's keep it going. I mixed the Harlow remix of What's Poppin' in there. I mixed a couple of things that we were touching up on Black is King for Beyonce, mixed that in there. So it became this energy. It became this vibe. And I'm like, this is going to be my spot for the foreseeable COVID future. I'm a germaphobe. So let's be clear. I don't think I'm going to see y'all in 2021. It might be 2022 before I start coming back outside. Okay. I'm still quarantined. The rest of Atlanta acting like they ain't, but I'm still quarantined. That's pretty much, my flow in the truck, man. And it's been great. And just in general, I guess I'm going to ask you this question, Tremaine. So in general, and I know the answer for myself, but I know your answer. So what's it been like as far as like, how different are your clients like during COVID and the workflow and like, you know what I mean?
Man, it is 100% virtual, obviously. And a lot of them are like, my indie clients and folks like I've toured with in the past that are now trying to put out albums or whatever. And it's the, getting on my nerves, with all these minor corrections. Can you turn the vocals up 2 dB? And then next revision, can you turn the vocals down to?
They got too much time. They got too much time on that. Yeah.
So when I send the first mix from now on, this has been just progressive since the beginning of quarantine. I have rules of after each client, I'm like, all right, so next client, I'm putting this in. I'm putting a number of revisions because you're not about to hit me for about 10 revisions. We're not doing that. And then I'll be like, look, when I send you this mix, listen to it for a day. Because your first listen, like 5 listens later, you're not going to hear what you heard that first time. Chill out, live with it. It's quarantine. I ain't pressuring you. You don't send this back to me today with notes. Like, send it back tomorrow. Because your notes will probably be far less, or there might not be any notes. Yeah. After you live with it and you're like, okay, no, I'm good with that. So all of that has happened over each client. They caused me to make new rules for the next client. Yep. But the upside is everybody pays on time. They've been smashing out the Cash App. It's been wonderful. Cash App and Zelle has been
because it's interesting because COVID forced us to work differently, but it also forced us to interact differently. So, like you said, you ain't got no excuse now. Ain't none of us going to the bank. So, Cash App, yes, that's all we doing. So, hit that Cash App, we good. Another upside for me, and you tell me if this was the case for you. Another upside for me was. The cool thing about it was everybody was actually finishing their work. So like we actually got a Cardi single. Like I'll be honest with you, I don't think WAP would have came out if the pandemic didn't hit because they had been trying to work on that record for like a year and they've been trying to get her to focus for like a year. And what happens with artists like Cardi, it doesn't happen often, but she's one of the rare ones that she blew all the way up and became one of the world's biggest artists in a very finite window. Like she blew up quick. So all these companies is at her neck, Balenciaga, and she got deals with Reebok. She about to release some sneakers. I think tomorrow or Friday. We're gonna talk about those. You know, me and Tremaine is on sneaker culture. Yeah, we're gonna talk about those. But she about to release some sneakers with Reebok. She got so many deals. She got the Pepsi deal. She got this, that. She's pulling a million directions. So it was so hard to get her to focus and bang out a single. And I remember, it's funny, right before Hall of Fame, label was having conversations and they were like, man, Leslie, at some point we're going to mix, but we're trying to get her to focus. We might need to send her to an island somewhere to get her to focus for a week. They were coming up with all kind of scenarios. And then COVID hit. And then a couple of weeks in, I get a call like, Les, you're going to have a record in a couple of days. She finished it. I'm just putting it together. This is Evan, her recording engineer, calling me like, oh yeah, we finished it. I'm just putting the final touches together and I'm going to send it to you. I'm like, what? We got a record? And then I started getting more calls like that. Like, hey, Les, I got 2 records I need you to mix. I finally finished. And we got so-and-so that we've been working on for 4 years. She finally finished. And and I'm like, really? Oh, everybody ain't got nowhere to go now. So everybody finishing their records. So it was good on that end. And I've honestly been lucky and blessed enough to say I've really been working a lot this pandemic. And that's something I know a lot of my colleagues can't say. So I'm really, it's dope that we're able to still be working and pushing out work, you know, and like when I think about it, like I think about the energy of like, man, it's a pandemic and I had a #1 and a #4 record at the same time, by the way, on the charts at the same time. So that was kind of cool, like to be able to, you know, it's just dope that we work really hard and to be able to get through those moments and have that kind of work is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's I've been seeing a lot of my tour comrades. Some of them have adjusted. Even like Brandon Blackwell, full grad. Brandon is trading stocks. He's on Twitch. He's doing everything. Like he's just trying to pivot to do something. And so it's good to see that. But then I see like a lot of people that I tour with that are just sitting at home on some woe is me. And like, I can't work if nobody's touring. And I'm like, touring skills don't only apply to touring. Like you're choosing to force yourself to only see it that way. But if you're a tour manager, you can be a project manager at a corporation. It's the same skill set. You're managing people and things. Take that skill set, clean up your resume, and go somewhere else to hold yourself down until this passes or whatever's going to happen. But like sitting at the house and trying to yell at the government to give you more money, nah, fam.
Yelling at the government don't work. They yelling at each other.
Right. Now, don't get twisted. That unemployment check was beautiful.
Right.
These were windows where I wasn't like working, but at the same time, I'd much rather be working than like collecting unemployment.
Wait, this is a fun question. Somebody said, how did the clean version edit go for WAP? Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
How many of them were there?
Let me tell you. And Tremaine knows this better than all of y'all. Because see, the thing about me and Tremaine too is like, it's dope when you got friends in the industry that you could talk to. And like, I could call him and tell him, like, he has all the tea, okay? I tell him all the dirt, stuff that I can't share publicly, and vice versa. And we be calling, like, venting. Sometimes our clients get on our nerves. Sometimes I call him and tell him, hey, man, do you know so-and-so just stabbed so-and-so? Like, I'll tell him what just happened, and it might never come out in the news. So we just talk so much about different stuff. So during that clean version period, let me tell you, it was the funniest thing trying to clean up such a dirty song and having so many different versions. And I've printed, I believe it's up to 73 different clean versions of that song. Yep, it's mix. I believe mix 73 was the last one I printed. And the reason why is because different venues, mediums, establishments, they want different things taken out. And it's the funniest thing, the things that they would leave and the things they take out. And so you could tell people's sensitivities based on certain things. Like, you know, there was one, I think it was a university or something. There was some kind of college radio or something they wanted it for. And they was like, well, you got to take out the part where she say dangly thing in the back of my throat. But gobble me, swallow me is fine. Like, really? So like the things they ask you to take out and the things they're fine with is just like, you're like, really? So and it was just it's and then imagine doing clean versions for more corporate things like the Pepsi commercial, or it hadn't come out yet, but certain things like different things that we're working on to try to get that song to fit into a format. She has all these deals. Of course, they're going to want to make commercials with her hottest song. However, her hottest song is actually the dirtiest song ever in existence.
Right.
So like,
right.
It's crazy trying to do clean versions for that song.
What's wild about that song, what got me was it's not dirty in the sense of curse words.
Right.
So trying to scrub a song with regular words, and it's just how everything was phrased. I was like, that was what was comedy to me, is like, you can't, like, dangly thing in the back of my throat in the context of the song is terrible, but it's not like a bad thing.
It's not a curse word.
Yeah.
So that's why certain people will call and be like, take that out, or take swallow me, but leave gobble. And I'll be like, really? Like that's why we have 73 mixes. Cause one lady was like, and then when she says, take a bucket and a mop, this one radio station was insisting that she said something else. Can you guess what rhymes with bucket? So they kept thinking she was saying that. And I was like, no, she says bucket and a mop. And they were like, we don't care. Take out bucket.
Take it out.
Too much like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I spent a lot of time in that truck during COVID editing clean versions, let me tell you. Because I can't mix this song in the house. Like, so I have two setups too. So I have a setup in the truck, and then I move my laptop and set up here and where I'm sitting right now. I'm kind of in the living room-ish area. I'm like kind of off the living room where I could see the living room TV. Kitchen is over there. So that way I'm still in the mix, because one thing I like about being home is, so for me, when I am around my family, I like to be present. And so what's cool about where I'm sitting right now is I'm in the middle of everything. So if my wife is in the kitchen cooking, I got a line of sight to her. And then if the kids are watching a movie on the main TV in the living room, I got a line of sight to the movie, and I can watch the movie with the family while I'm over here printing edits and doing stuff. So I'm actually getting work done, hanging out with them. Like COVID has become like my workflow, and the way I work here is actually kind of dope. And I would have never in a million years thought this was possible. If you would have told me 3 years ago, hey, can you work from home? Can you mix? I'd have been like, heck no. I would have denied that forever, because it never worked into my brain as something I can do around my family, because I felt like I had to separate being daddy and, trying to get the honey-do list done. The honey-do list is dumb long right now, by the way. There's so much stuff around this house I need to do. And Doris be looking at me every day like, babe, so you going to get to that curtain that I asked you to put up? Yeah. So, yeah. It's a lot of that right now. But so I like being in both setups. But when I was doing the clean edits for WAP, I couldn't do none of it in here. I had to do everything in the truck. So I spent a ton of time in the truck. That song, let me tell you, it's crazy.
It's worth it though. It's worth it.
Yeah. And working at home is different, but I locked in, like I said, and I'm loving it actually. I'm kind of getting a little spoiled with the whole like mixing in my truck. I ain't gotta go nowhere. I ain't wore jeans in like 5 months. I'm sweatpants out. Like I've been ordering mad apparel from the Full Sail hanger. Like I keep putting in orders like every week. I'll be ordering sweatpants and shirts, and so I'm just chilling. Like I love, I Uber Eats. I order my Starbucks every day. I ain't got to go to Starbucks and wait in the line no more. Oh man, I'm spoiled. I ain't gotta touch human beings. Like I'm a germaphobe. So
man, look on the flip side. On the total opposite, I had to venture out. I like the first, I don't know, from March until when I have to leave September, I didn't really leave the house. Like I hadn't acclimated to how people work and the 6 foot thing and all that stuff, because I hadn't left the house. I was Amazon Fresh and food and all this stuff. And then I get thrown into a movie set and thrown into the middle of everything in LA. And I'm like, this is weird for me. Like I hadn't worn a mask like that because I'd just been in the house. I hadn't been around people. So I'm sitting here trying to wear this mask, and I feel like a 3-year-old all day. I'm just tugging on it like, oh, it's so annoying. Oh.
Right.
And so the way they had it set up on set was there's level B where the talent, the dancers and all this stuff, they're not on set yet. So it's just crew and all the rest of us. So you can just wear your little face mask. As soon as they announce over the speakers, we're going to level A, that means dancers, singers, whoever are coming up, they're not wearing masks because they got to be on camera and they got makeup on, so they can't have it on. So that means you got pulled on your face shield on top of your mask. And you just sitting there trying to breathe through all of this. And then when somebody asks you something, you're trying to talk to them, but you got 2 layers blocking your mouth.
And you got fog the whole night.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And then you get fingerprints on the face shield throughout the day because you keep tugging at it because it's pressed up against your head. I was like, man, I can't function like this. But
it's
it was like a whole, yeah, man. And they told us, I think the budget just for the COVID stuff was $1 million. Like just PPE, because you got PPE officers. We were getting tested Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The on-stage talent got tested every single day. And it was the nose, like they touching your brain.
Oh, not the sticking up in the nose. Oh,
dude, I caught those I caught about 16 of those, 16 to 17 of those. And then every maybe 50 feet on set, no matter where you walked, there was a PPE cart with 2 sizes of N95 masks for small face and big face shields, hand sanitizers, gloves, and it's an unlimited supply. So like, no matter what throughout the day, if your mask pops off, you're sitting here and there's another one within 10 to 20 feet of you, and you go grab another one and put it on. And that was it every day on set. And in the studio, they wanted, like, because we had to track out the soundtrack, it was no face shield, thank God, but you had to be masked up.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Everything is different, man. The food is different. They can't have like the open kind of buffet style food. Everything is now in like little lunchbox kind of thing. Like huge adjustment to anything you've been used to if you like been out doing shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is to adjust. I see a question. Let's take a couple of questions. I see a question in the Q&A. What's the best way to network or secure internships during this pandemic? So here's the thing. And like Tremaine and I have been talking about adjusting. The cool thing about where we are in life, I think, was the perfect place that we are in technology, social media, all of that stuff, I think is very well developed to be able to equip us for a pandemic, in a sense of we have Twitch, we have all these ways to connect, Twitter and all this stuff, to where it's not necessary to be in person and still do things and still connect and still, I've made a ton of friends over Twitch. I like I said, during the pandemic, that was one thing I got on top of too, is I remember Jack Geckler, fellow Hall of Famer, Aaron Eberhardt, new Hall of Famer. They had been pushing me. They had been always encouraging me. I remember when I first met Aaron, that was one of the first conversations we had. She was like, yo, you should start a Twitch stream. You would be so interesting. You're such an interesting guy. And, you know, you play video games and you talk about audio, and that would be fun. And that. So she was the one that really gave me the idea for what I'm doing, where I'm on my Twitch channel, I'm playing games, I'm answering audio questions from students or whoever. She was the one that kind of really started. And Jack Eckler been trying to get me into it. Jamison Durrell, another Hall of Famer. Jameson been telling me, hey, man, you should get into Twitch and just start twitching, and it's fun, and just keep it fun. And so that was something I got on during the pandemic to try to, you know, add to. And it wasn't even about work or business or anything else. I knew I played games a lot, and it was something I just wanted to kind of get in tune with, because it's the new wave. It's the wave of how we communicate, how we network. I've networked with people on there and certainly on Instagram and Twitter, and I've gotten work off of networking with people on Instagram and Twitter all the time. So that's one of the things, especially with the younger generation. Y'all are more tapped into all this stuff than we are. Y'all texting on Snap and wherever y'all be texting now. Y'all don't do the traditional forms of communication that we do. Y'all really ain't on your phones actually making phone calls. Y'all ain't answering emails. So utilize all those platforms and new mediums to like just keep the networking going.
No, I agree 100%. I've been like Twitter and Instagram have been my clientele. Like I've been getting just referrals through there. Like that's been the networking move. It's just people hitting me like, my cousin working on a record. Are you mixing right now? Or what are you doing? I'm like, shoot them to me. No matter how small, as long as they got that magical B word, budget, we in there.
Let's go. Let's go.
We can figure this out.
Yep. We got another question from Ryan. He said, do you have any suggestions for students who aren't necessarily fresh out of high school? Are there ways to approach our careers with time and financial restraints? I think that's a very subjective question and answer. It's all based on, it's all based on what you got going on and what's your financial situation. There's no real hard answer to that question. It's all based on your situation. Don't let your age or when you start doing this affect how you approach it, and just keep it moving. Yeah,
no, I agree.
Yeah. Deana, are you jumping in here to kind of fill us with some Q&A, or do you want me to keep doing it this style?
Absolutely, I can help out.
Okay, either way, it doesn't matter. I don't care. But yeah, I always like some FaceTime with Deana.
Yeah,
it's Deana.
Hang on,
I can't believe they let us do this together. All three of us. All three of us are really good friends. We got a crew.
Story. So the next question comes from Jarrell, and Jarrell wants to know, what is the go-to file sharing app or URL that you guys are using in the industry to receive tracked out files from your clients?
There's a few. For me, it's Dropbox, WeTransfer. Some people do people still use SendSpace? I don't think I've seen anything from SendSpace in a while. For me, it's usually Dropbox or WeTransfer.
Yeah, Dropbox is, we just did a whole movie, and that whole thing, everything operated off of Dropbox. And there was, I can't remember this other one because we were dealing with Apple. So they have like some proprietary something.
I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, they were sending us stuff through that. But for the most part, Dropbox was key. It's easy to add people. It's easy to take people off, throw the password on there. It's pretty simple. And just pay the extra money to get the Dropbox Pro. Don't get the regular free joint. Just get the upgrade.
Get the Pro. And WeTransfer is cool when it works. It's cool because you can see when somebody downloads your file. And for a lot of sensitive stuff, that's cool because when you see when somebody downloads your file, you can go on there and delete it right away after they grab it. So WeTransfer, I do like it for that reason. Sometimes the links don't work. It's weird. So sometimes you actually have to resend the link to somebody or text them the link because the links be hung up a bit. So that's the one little quirk about WeTransfer, but I use both.
Yep.
So Leslie, Jarrell also wanted to know, how long is your typical mix session in the truck before you need to step away and get a break?
Well, Cadillac has a feature where your truck can't stay idle for more than 3 hours. It cuts off. So I literally have to get out and restart it every time. But I try not to sit in there too long. I mix quick in general, so I try not to stay too stagnant in there. I'd stay in there for a good hour and a half, sometimes two, and knock out some stuff. And then I'll take a break, stretch. My Apple Watch always tells me when to get up and walk around. So I always listen to the Apple Watch. And I just, take breaks. I try not to get stuck in there too much. But sometimes I'll be lounging. Like sometimes I won't even be mixing. I'll be all laid back in the seat on the phone. Like I'll be chilling. So it just depends. I've actually taken a nap in the back of my truck too. My truck looks like dope right now. I got cushions and I got a little blanket in the back, like in the back part, because I got the ESV joint, the extended joint. So it's like mad space in the back. Oh yeah, I'm chilling.
Well, Jessica Bolin is deeply concerned about your fuel economy. So how much gas are you killing mixing in the truck?
You know what? What's right. You know what's interesting? I don't have to fill up my truck often. Like I can fill it up and mix for a solid maybe 2 weeks without having to go to the gas. Probably even a little more, to be honest with you, because it's just sitting there and idle, and it doesn't burn that much fuel when it's sitting there. So, yeah, I don't burn a lot of fuel at all. If you're concerned about the planet,
Right.
I'm not. No, I'm just playing.
Get that man a gas card if you're so concerned.
Right.
So this question comes from Jacob, and it's for both of you guys. How is working from home really affecting your focus? Are you easily distracted, or are you more focused being at home?
I'm good. Like, I'm not really distracted that much. I actually get locked in, and it's similar to Leslie, like with the 3-hour cutoff thing. Like, I'll get locked in and realize, like, oh shoot, I need to get up and take a break. Like, I need to step back because I'll just be comfortable, and there's nobody moving around me that's like distracting me. There's not people coming in and out of the room. Like, do you need this?
Right.
I'm just working. So it's actually kind of good, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not distracted that much, and it's cool. It's dope to be able to just be able to take a break and walk around a bit, or so no, it's cool. And my house is pretty much set up like the studio in a sense of I have all the same kind of comforts. Like, I got my Xbox at the studio, I got my Xbox at the house. I got, all the comforts, things that I do when I take breaks, it's pretty much the same. And the added bonus, and it's the same kind of, like, for instance, I still work the same hours. So a lot of times I'm out in the truck at, 10, 11, midnight, out in the truck working. My kids are already asleep anyway. So nobody's really, my wife goes to sleep relatively early. Me and my wife have finished Netflix. We've binge watched everything on there. Like, every show we've binged. That's the good thing about the pandemic is, and I think she would tell you she's enjoying me being around more because I was gone a lot, whether it's in the studio or traveling to Full Sail or da-da-da. So I'm here all the time. So I always take a break at night. We watch, and right now we're still watching The Sopranos. We're going through The Sopranos because she never saw The Sopranos. My wife is like, she's not up on a lot of pop culture. My wife had never seen Star Wars before she met me. She had never seen like a ton. She still hasn't seen The Color Purple. Let's be clear. So yeah,
Wow.
Yes, you're a friend of mine, Doris. She has not seen.
I am offended.
Man, look. So we've been binge watching everything, and so we get that time in the evenings, and yeah, so it's not a distraction. I work around it, and sometimes it's cool to be able to get up in the morning, and if I have a quick thing I need to do or send something, I don't have to Now, here's the thing: I shower every day. But I don't have to shower before I send the file. See, before, if I got to get up and run to the studio to send the file to somebody, I got to take a shower. I'm going to be around other people. If I get up and just need to send you a file and go right back to bed, I'm not taking a shower. I'm taking a shower when I wake up. Right. So it's just the convenience.
Glad you showered every day because...
Now, let's be clear. I skip a day sometimes.
I was about to say, I definitely, in the beginning of the pandemic, I wasn't. Yeah. I was like, I'm definitely not leaving this house. So it's just.
You can skip a day every now and then.
It's just me. But since then, I've gotten back to my regular schedule.
Yeah, I'm back on my regular too. I got a little lax with it. And I was like, you know how you skip a day and then you're just kind of sitting around, you're like,
is that me?
Wait a minute. Yeah. So I had to get back on my regular. I was like, wait a minute. Oh.
So this is the part of the program where we remind everyone to wear your mask and wash your hands frequently.
Yes. Yes, personal hygiene is important.
Yes.
Also, really good for your professional brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Around you and be like,
yes, when we start getting around each other again, everybody who knows me knows I actually have a whole rant about that where I talk to y'all students about personal hygiene, taking showers, brushing your teeth. And this is serious. I know people laugh at it, but don't walk up to people talking about you trying to network and you trying to do this and you trying to do that. And all they could think about is your funky breath. Don't do it. because that's what happens. If your breath is funky, I ain't hearing nothing you got to say. I'm sitting there trying to figure out what is my exit strategy.
Holding my breath the whole time you're talking. That's it.
So personal hygiene is important. You students, personal hygiene. Sometimes I'll be walking in. I think there's a thing around Full Sail. They call it the smell of learning. But I'll be walking in them classrooms. I walk in them classrooms sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, the smell of learning is really potent in here.
Y'all learning in here. Y'all learning a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
The smell of learning, man. Look, all of y'all need to take showers daily. You know, don't be riding your bike all around hot Orlando and then go to class.
And then pull up the class. Oh, man.
Come on, man.
Oh,
for
man.
Real. For real. Public service announcement.
Shout out to Full Sail's housekeeping team, because the campus has never looked better during this pandemic, and the smell is definitely nice and clean and fresh.
Oh, I bet those classrooms smell amazing right now.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And if you see Pena around the grounds, tell Pena I say what's up.
I will definitely do that.
I miss everybody at Full Sail. I miss the crew. I used to be, I'm there every month, so I know everyone and miss everyone. And if you see Pena be riding around on his little golf cart. He got the special cart too. He got the green joint. He got the little souped up green joint. But shout out to Pena.
I will definitely give Pena the love.
Oh man.
So next question you guys have is from Gerard, who wants to know, how has the sound of your mixing changed from when you graduated to when you started working and now in 2020?
Ooh. I'll go first, maybe. So obviously when I graduated, my mixes weren't that great. And that's the thing you got to accept. We were talking about this in our last panel. You got to always be honest with yourself, honest with what you are. And it's about wanting that criticism and wanting people to tell you the truth so you can get better. So I listened to like my very first big mix. We were talking about Monica's Don't Take It Personal. I listened to that mix and I cringe to this day because there's so many things I would have done differently. Like I had the little chorus effect on her hook and it just sounds so terrible to me now. And I'm just like, why did I do that? But I mean, it ended up being a hit and it's cool and it worked for that time. But I've definitely evolved as a mix. I think too, throughout my career, I've evolved with the Southern trap culture. So I would even dare to say I'm a part of that culture. I'm a part of creating some of that sound.
Pioneer.
Huh?
Pioneer.
I mean, just a little something, I was here for a lot of the, the records that birthed this sound. So evolving with that, making sure that the 808s and those kicks are really hitting, that developed as a part of my sound as trap developed in the South. And then, so yeah, definitely paying attention to the low end was always a thing in my career. And I think now, I'm just, I'm in my bag right now. I'm just trying to really stay good. I'm trying to stay on top of what all the young people are connecting with. There was a question that was asked to me the other day, and this is one of my favorite things. Somebody asked me, what do I do when I get a session with a bunch of plugins that I don't have? And what I said was, I love that. That's one of my favorite moments because that's a learning opportunity for me. When I get a session with a bunch of plugins that I don't have, I go buy all the ones that I don't have and I learn them. Yeah. And it's like always trying to keep up with the young sound and learning what the young producers and engineers are on. So that's a way to stay current too. And I think that's part of my evolution is always staying in tune with what's hot, what the young kids are doing. I mean, some of these producers are like 12 and 13 and 14 years old. And these kids be up on all kind of stuff that I don't be up on. And I love having that opportunity to learn. So.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing. Basically, when you get out of school, don't be out here thinking you know everything and that your mixes are amazing because 99% of the time they're not. And just understand that it's going to take time. And like I'm still learning. Like I said in the previous thing, I'm mixing people's albums and I'll be sending Leslie mixes to get his ear on it and be like, what you think? or what should I do with this vocal and all that kind of stuff. So it's a process that never stops. Like you should constantly grow, especially because, like you said, new technology. And I do the same thing. Like if I get a session, I got like 2 or 3 sessions in a row that had the Valhalla reverb. Right? And I was like, okay. Like after like the 3rd session, I was like, all right, so I'm missing something here. Everybody's like sending me stuff. And it was like high level, low level. I was okay. Yeah. So I need to catch up. So I just went and bought it. And I was like, this thing is amazing. I've been missing out. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like be open to new things. Because if you get locked into, I'm only using these plugs and I'm doing that, almost dates your sound sometimes too.
Exactly.
Everybody else is using new stuff and different tricks and different effects, and you are still locked into Waves 7. Good luck.
Yeah. And keep up with your colleagues too. Like Tremaine was saying, like even Darren Schneider, some of you may have had him as an instructor or will have him. Darren was the one that put me on to the Valhalla, actually. And he was the one that got me on that early. And so when I come to Full Sail and I'm mixing, and Darren will come in and be like, hey, man, you tried out so-and-so? You tried out so-and-so? And we all nerd out and geek out about all the new plugins. And we calling each other like, hey, dude, I got this plugin. It's crazy. You should try this and da-da-da. So that's always a good way to keep up with and keep your sound fresh, too, is make sure you're keeping up with your colleagues. And it's so much work and music out here for all of us. So I don't even look at any of these guys like my competition. We're all doing different things, and it's so much music out here for everybody. So it's fun to keep up with each other and see what we're all doing and learn from each other too.
Yep.
So that actually brings about a really great question from Joshua Mark, who wanted to know, during the pandemic, have you set aside time to learn any particular skill or improve upon a skill during this time? Do you have a COVID hobby?
I think my COVID hobby would be Twitch. I think I really got into Twitch. I got into streaming. That's my COVID hobby. I think that's my thing. And I've been definitely playing around with a lot of new plugins. I just started playing around with the IK multimedia plugins, and like they're actually jamming. Like, so I've been kind of geeking on those. But yeah, I think Twitch would be my COVID hobby.
I don't know if I have one. I mean, I think like the one thing I've been doing more of now than I ever did before is just critical listening, just sitting there in front of my speakers and just digesting as much music as I can and trying to pick things apart and mixes, even old songs. I went back to the D'Angelo Voodoo album and I've never listened to that from a critical listening aspect. I've only listened to it as a fan. So when I sat there and like closed my eyes and just stereo imaged and picked apart where everything sat, and I was like, wait a minute, his background vocals are like right here. They're not at 100 on this song, but on another song they're here, but the whole album feels cohesive. How are you doing this? And vocals are like everything. Like I noticed on one song, there was just a Rhodes in my left. If I wouldn't have listened like that, I thought that Rhodes was 100% on both sides. Yeah, I had no idea. So I've been doing like a ton of critical listening, just taking apart records that I've listened to over the years, like my favorite records, and trying to figure out why I like them and how they put them together.
That is awesome. And I don't think I've ever taken the time to critically listen to an album. I usually just approach it as a fan. Right now, I'm trying to do less listening, though, because my neighbor's COVID hobby is blacksmithing. So that's been a lot of fun.
What?
So if anyone needs like anvil noises for a track, like I've got the hookup.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice.
It's lit.
It's lit.
Another question from Jacob Yamaguchi wanted to know is, during the pandemic, do you or have you seen an uptick in newer indie artists coming out of the woodwork, or do you see more repeat clients just making more content because there's nowhere to go?
First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Yamaguchi is a hard last name. I wish that was my last name. If Yamaguchi was my last name, I would just introduce myself as Leslie Yamaguchi every time. Like I would make everybody call me the full name. Leslie Yamaguchi. How y'all doing? That's a hard last name. Anyway, I done forgot the question because I'm geeking out on the last name.
Have you seen an uptick in newer indie artists coming out of the woodwork, or have you been working more with repeat clients during the pandemic?
A little bit of both for me. I've worked with it's been the same flow as far as there's an even mix of repeat clients and more seasoned artists. And it's just as even a flow of labels are calling with their new artists that they have signed that they want to get going, so it's been about the same for me.
Yeah. I'd say, yeah, like I've had some repeats, and I've had a handful of new clients to me, but it's their second or third project. But that's always cool, is that they're venturing out of their circle to try to find a new mixer or something. So yeah, it's been both, thankfully. People are calling.
I saw somebody in here saying that they get skipped. Some of you may be getting your questions skipped. Please understand that Deana is doing her very best because she's getting inundated with questions. So she's doing her best to not skip y'all. It's not on purpose. And real quick, if you don't get your question answered here and have a question for me or Tremaine, because I could call Tremaine while I'm on the stream, just jump on the stream. I'm on there every night from about midnight to 4, Lester Bud on Twitch. And I'll answer all your questions. Ask me stuff. If you got questions about your classwork or whatever you got, I got you. But yeah, give Deana, she doing her best.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. And I promise we'll get to as many as we can. So we'll jump right into the next one, which comes from Joshua Lacey, what are some mixing tools and secrets you guys use on Logic? Do you utilize FL Studios at all during the mixing process?
So that's a no and no for me. I don't really mix with Logic. I only mix with Pro Tools. It's the standard in as far as engineering. Logic, I think, is more of a is a producer's tool in a sense, like a songwriter producer's tool. But engineers and mixers, we typically stick to Pro Tools.
Yeah,
Tremaine can speak to that probably more than me.
Yeah, I jump into Logic 100% on production stuff. And I have certain things I use it for, and then I jump back out of it, export it into Pro Tools. And that's pretty much all the different DAWs. I jump in there to use what I need it for, and then I dump everything back into Pro Tools as far as mixing. And then files, when people send me files, either they just send me just a folder full of waves that all start at 0, or they send me a Pro Tools session. So everything ends up in Pro Tools at the end of the day.
So this next question comes from Micah, and the question is, do you think that the pandemic has revealed some untapped markets for music, things like live shows that are streamed or bands streaming recording sessions? What do you guys think about that?
Absolutely. I think definitely one of the good things to come out of the pandemic is, and I don't even think that's only limited to the entertainment industry. I think it's pretty much every single industry. Some not so well, but for the most part, I think I can pick apart and point out where a lot of industries have learned how to work differently. Sometimes it may not be better, but learning to work differently can be an asset. And even when you think of Full Sail, think of a university where Full Sail is a technology-based university, and y'all have adjusted so quickly and still able to deliver quality education using the technology more than ever now. And I just think that's dope. And it's just showing us that we can work differently. We can move around a little differently. I think a lot of companies, a lot of mediums have figured out certain things. Like I said, Twitch is hopping right now. All these, I do think there are a lot of benefits to artists, and it opened up a couple different streams of figuring out how to do things and how to present things. And, I've seen even on Netflix, just the way certain documentaries are evolving. Documentaries are really poking out in the market now, because with documentaries, you don't need to be around a full crew to shoot them a lot of times. And so I think they're easier to produce and shoot during a pandemic, so it's that kind of stuff.
Tremaine, what do you think?
Literally the same thing. I would say he covered it. Like, I'm not gonna repeat him. Yeah.
He said literally the same thing. Well, I feel like you're taller than me. Like I'm like really short right now. Hold on. I'm trying to. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that you. I don't like that you're that much taller than me. I don't like it.
So, Tremaine, let's start with you on this one. Where do you feel, COVID aside, that the music industry is really booming right now?
Where is it booming?
Honestly,
I was gonna say I don't, because I honestly don't know. I don't know if we're booming or we're just getting by right now. Like we're kind of just holding until we see what's next.
We booming on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, but then the crazy thing with that is like booming as far as popularity, but money wise,
yeah,
nobody's making money like that as far as the music goes. Like the content creators that are using the music are getting paid, but the music, last I checked, the people weren't getting paid for every repetitive watch on TikTok. So if they use my song and it's viewed 1 million times, I'm not getting paid for every view.
Right.
So technically the business isn't booming on that end. So I think we're coasting and we're doing like these virtual concerts and virtual award shows to get by, but I don't know if anybody is technically thriving.
Right.
I think
because even the people that are doing really well are doing really well. Like for instance, if you look at Cardi B, she's doing really well because all of her other deals that popped off because of who she is. And music is the foundation. And to be honest with you, I don't even think music is the foundation of her career. Her personality is her foundation.
Personality. Yeah, for sure. She
could not put out another album and she'll still be getting all the deals she getting and all this stuff because of her personality. And so, the booming word is, threw me off too. I don't know that we're booming.
Well, one of our attendees, Yancy, asks, they live in the Bronx, New York, and we're wondering, should they consider relocating, or do you think that there's enough of a scene there that they can survive?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question because the New York used to be one of the hubs of the music industry, and it's just not anymore in a sense of like a lot of studios shut down. I think there still is a bit of a scene there, but the problem with New York and what I think contributed largely to the music scene kind of evolving away from New York is such an expensive city to live in. The price of living there is super expensive. And so that makes it hard to get some type of an uptick when you're trying to start and when you're trying to, that's the problem with New York. And even in LA, as expensive as a city as LA is to live in, you can figure out ways to live in LA and not be broke. In New York, there really is no way. Like in New York, if you in something that's affordable in a sense of when you're not really making any money, you live in a rat hole in New York, literally.
Yeah.
And so that's what is discouraging about New York. So it's a hard question. And I love New York. I'm not hating on it. I just know it's a hard town to, especially now with the industry being as, diluted as it is there. The cost of living there is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree.
So that leads into another question from Jarrell, who asks, has your rate of pay changed since the pandemic started? Is it more? Is it less?
I think that question is a lot more broken down for me because you got to kind of adjust. You got to adjust your rates with the type of clients you have. So I'm not charging the independent clients the same thing I'm charging Cardi B or Beyonce. My rate has not changed for Cardi B or Beyonce. No. You good.
Right.
I'm talking about you good, Beyonce. You
paying
good.
that.
Jack, you good. But I think the adjustment is less in the rates. I'm just speaking for me. I think it's less in the rates, and the adjustment is more is how we work. And what we're not going to do is you're not going to cloud up my time with a whole bunch of revisions and everything else because I got stuff to do. And now that we are in a pandemic, I do have to work smarter and more efficiently to make money. So you're not going to cloud up all my time. So I think, I think that's just a product of me becoming older and like less tolerant. Like I get my patience level for like certain clients. It's really deteriorating rapidly.
Boy. That's fact, man. Goodness.
Yeah. What about you, Tremaine?
It's fluctuated. I've like when people call me for stuff, I'll be like, what can you do? Because I know like some of these artists I've worked with I know them from touring. So I know they were dependent on their tour check. And I know they don't have their tour check, but they're trying to get this project up so they can generate some income. So I'm more flexible with them than I am the indie artist that has a 9-to-5 job who has been working through this entire pandemic. And this hasn't really affected them. They've been getting their check this whole year.
Right.
You're getting hit with the full rate because I know you have the money versus the other people. So it just depends on the client. I do have like, the number that I'm not going to go below because at that point it's going to be a waste of time because I know you're going to be a headache at some point. So it's always going to be that. But I've tried to be flexible, especially like with people I know. And if I know your situation for real, then I'm going to work with you. Other folks, if you flexing on Instagram and you trying to come in with this stupid low rate, but you doing all this dumb stuff, nah, we running them numbers up. No sympathy.
So how about this? During the pandemic, have you guys had the opportunity to kind of reflect maybe where you've been slacking so that you don't become complacent with success? And are there specific places you're going for criticism?
I do that all the time, pandemic or not. I'm always, and I know Tremaine will say the same thing. I'm always in that mode. I'm always in, what can I do better? Let me take a look at what I got going on. Always in that mode. I think my mind stays in that mode. And it's not a self-conscious, hypercritical mode. It's do I have opportunities to learn? Can I figure something? Like I said, every time I get a session with new plugins, I'm in mode of, I need to learn what this new plugin is. What's going on here? I'm always calling my colleagues, asking questions. So I think for a lot of us, I think a lot of the Hall of Famers and alums will say that's built into the core of who we are. And I think that's one of the consistent traits of a lot of successful people is you kind of live in that mode. You're always in this mode of, okay, where am I slacking? What can I improve? Da-da-da.
Yeah, I agree.
He's like, yeah.
Well, Tremaine, let's go to you for this one first. What's your favorite plugin at the moment?
Oh, at the moment, probably the reverb we was talking about.
Oh, the Valhalla.
Yeah, like I've used that on the movie we were doing. We started working on the soundtrack. Every session had it on there, whether I was in the chamber or hall or plate. Like everything is clean and clear on there, and it's not like y'all. I'm gonna just tell y'all now. If y'all in Pro Tools, stop using deverb because at the end of the phrase it decays off and it puts your vocal out of tune, and that is the most annoying thing ever.
Oh my god!
Okay?
Like...
Stop it. It's so many other reverbs out here. Don't use deverb, please don't. So yeah, so probably that one. That's what I've been using on pretty much every mix. It's just really clean and it works in a lot of different situations. What about you, Leslie?
Yeah, what's your favorite, Les?
Favorite plugin at the moment? Like I said, I've been playing around with the IK multimedia stuff. The T-Rack is a nice little plugin. It's a cool little like mastering type joint. It's limiting. It's got some cool compression limiting stuff. I've been playing around on vocals with it. So I've been playing around with the IK multimedia stuff. They got some cool little gadgets. Is that a Christmas sweater, Tremaine?
Yes.
I just beat that. You're in Mariah Carey mode right now.
With some Jordans hanging out the.
I see them. I see what you did. I see what you did. I light flex. I see what you did.
That's it.
Yeah,
So, Jacob Yamaguchi, your buddy Leslie, is back.
Yamaguchi.
And Jacob wants to know, as a new student or recent graduate, would you prioritize getting as many of the newest plugins as possible, or try to work with what you got first?
Work with what you got. I always tell people, study the craft. You can learn the gear, but more importantly, learn the craft, because the gear will change. The plugins change. The craft at its core usually does not. So if you can grow and get better as a mixer or as an engineer, if you learn to do more with less. If you learn how to make something sound good with the least amount of plugins, you're going to be amazing when you have all the plugins. So don't rely on having all the plugins to make something sound good. Learn the fundamentals, learn how to really make things sound decent with just levels and panning and light EQing. It'll take you a long way. And even now in my mixes, I show them all the time. I don't use a whole lot of plugins. So to me, it's not necessary.
Yeah. And Leslie will tell you, the stock Pro Tools plugins, don't look down on those. Like, cause I'll be using the EQ. I know he does.
The EQ7.
Yeah. Like on every mix. And I just did for this award show, I had to do roughs for the host people. And it was pretty much, cause I don't know what plugs they're going to have when I send in the session. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. And that was like live drums, guitar, bass. And that was straight stock, as much as possible, stock Pro Tools stuff. And it got the job done, because a gate is a gate. The EQ, for the most part, it's going to get the job done.
The only stock plugin that we pretty much all across the board can agree that we all pretty much frown upon is the Deverb.
Yeah.
We all pretty much frown upon the Deverb. Like any engineer tell you, any genre, any era, the 80s engineers, the 90s engineers, they'll all tell you no to the Deverb.
Yeah. Gotta go.
I don't even know why I said that. I should delete it from my list.
Right.
So Sydney Clayton is asking, for people who are just starting out, are there any ones you recommend getting first? Any plugins you should get first?
Whatever's most affordable for you. I like the packages where, before they used to sell them where, like Waves used to sell them where you had to buy the bundles. You had to spend like 10 grand to get all the dope plugins. And that was ridiculous for somebody just coming out of school or, just starting out. UAD kind of broke it up, and then a lot of these companies follow suit. Most companies have it now where you can just buy an individual plugin as you go. I would tell you the best time to buy plugins is on any holiday. They always, like Waves always does the $29 plugins on holidays. UAD always has deals on holidays because they know people are going to be home and inside working on stuff. So they throw out a bunch of deals on holidays. So just buy as you need them and as you go. To me, is a good rule of thumb, and you'll be surprised when you buy bundles, you only use like one or two out of the bundle. So just buy individual. Just buy them as you need.
Yeah.
So this question comes from Angel, and Angel wants to know, how do you guys feel about guilds? Should they be joining them while they're in school, after school? Is it necessary to be a part of a guild? What do you guys think?
Tremaine?
I think I guess the Grammys would fall under that, the Academy, Recording Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, that is huge. Like, you're in school right now, you can join Grammy U, and then move up to, they have a Grammy Next program, and as a associate or voting member. And I'll say from when I joined, when I was 21, every career move I've made since then, any kind of big thing, has stemmed from my networking at the Grammys and knowing people in that office and other members and the events that they have, just showing up and being at all of them, people remember you. And because that group of people has already been vetted, and that goes for any guild, like you can't just join. So if you're in there and you meet other people in there, that means y'all are all working at a minimal level of something. And it's not like you're going to walk in there and be bothered with a bunch of folks that are trying to do stuff. Like y'all are all actually doing this. So I say join what you can. Don't let it like take up all your time, but definitely be a part and go to the networking mixers and all that kind of stuff they do.
Absolutely.
So this next one, this question was actually asked in our last session. We didn't have a chance to get to it, but Hank Lee said, Leslie, during your Twitch stream, you referenced that you wish you could have worked with Bob Marley. Is there a particular reason why? And Tremaine, who would you like to work with that you haven't, and why?
The Bob Marley thing for me is just, I mean, that was my first ever introduction to music, is listening to Bob. I grew up in the islands. I grew up in the Virgin Islands. So Bob Marley was heavy in the culture. It was my first real introduction to music. First albums I used to listen to were his albums. Loved his music. And just the sound. I mean, just even from an engineering standpoint, not even just talking about from a fan standpoint, but from sonically, those albums sounded amazing to me. Even to this day, they sound so good. And I always geek out on how they were able to achieve such a sound with the limited amount of equipment and the type of equipment they had, especially in Jamaica. And, you know, it was just the sound of those albums are incredible. So he's just my favorite artist ever in life. And I just always, that would be the answer to that question. Dead or alive, who would you have wanted to work with? It would be Bob Marley, no question.
Tremaine, how about you?
Man, probably Stevie, or I think Stevie Wonder is like my number one bucket list. But then I want it to be like songs in the key of life Stevie, not current Stevie. So really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
facts. 70s, 70s, 80s.
That Stevie would have been ideal. And crazy part was, almost when I was shooting that movie, he almost was in it. So he was going to be on set, and I was the piano guy on set. So I was like low key freaking out, like, oh my God, it's going to happen. I'm going to meet him. Oh my God. Because he's like, I don't fan out on people like that. But Stevie Wonder, Jesus. Yeah. And he's going to be playing piano in front of me. But I think he's the one. Him and Michael would have been cool. Because I've worked with all the Jacksons except him. So,
and then opposite for me, I worked with him and none of the other Jacksons.
None of the other ones.
I lied. I worked with Janet a little bit. I worked with her. And she was in her Jermaine Dupri Atlanta phase.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. She was out here.
Yeah. So yeah, Stevie and Michael for me.
Okay.
Stevie, gotta get that dress code together though.
Man.
So we have another question, which is, how do you guys get a good 808 kick sound, or any tips or tricks for how to do it?
Turn it up.
That's what you got?
That's what I got. Turn it up. People be thinking I have like this whole scientific method of like how I do these kicks. Like everybody been asking me all summer long, man, how you get that 808 to hit on WAP? Like that thing is banging. Man, I just turned it up. That's all I did. And I put the Little Labs Voice of God on it. It's a U80 plugin. Love that thing. The Voice of God is a great plugin. You throw that on pretty much any 808 and you take it from Donald Trump to Joe Biden.
What an upgrade.
No, I had to sneak a little politics in. I had to do it for the culture.
Oh, man.
So
actually, you take it from Donald Trump to Barack Obama. That's what you do with the Little Labs Voice of God.
True upgrade, yeah.
Real upgrade.
Tremaine, do you have a different approach to your 808s?
Nah, he put me up on the Voice of God probably like last year or something. And now I've been putting all my people up on Voice again.
I remember your face when we were in the. Remember when we were in the. Dang, I ain't been on campus so long. I forgot the name of the studio. Audio Temple.
Audio Temple, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the Audio Temple, and I remember when I was showing you we were ABing, and you were like,
"Yeah,
that's a cheat code."
It's only 2 knobs.
It's such a cheat code.
And I've had that plug in forever, and I didn't think nothing of it. And then I use it on everything now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Leslie, this one's for you. Kind of bringing it back specifically to the pandemic. You're working from home, you're mixing, the kids are nearby. How has that experience been? Like, is it cool that the girls get to see more in depth what you do?
Yeah, and for the songs that they can be around and listen to, like when I was mixing Jack Harlow's What's Poppin', it's funny because I'm mixing the remix to What's Poppin' here at home. We had already mixed the original a few months before, so the original started trending on TikTok. So my 11-year-old Zoe, you know, we kind of give her some limited run on TikTok. Like TikTok be having some ratchet stuff on there, but we try to limit her run on there. And, you know, she wants to be doing what her friends are doing and she can handle it. We talk about a lot of adult stuff. So I don't want to like shield her from it. And then when she gets to college, she just goes crazy. So
smart man,
you know, you're right. So she's on TikTok. And when she hears What's Poppin' and she's doing her little dances to it, she's like, Daddy, this is the song that you mix. Oh my God. Like, so they're now in the phase where they get really excited when the stuff I'm mixing is really connecting to where they are. Cause I think it was cute when they were younger, but they wasn't really connecting to it in a sense. Like I didn't mix Let It Go. So I wasn't, you know, I became a bit of a celebrity in my house when Happy came out because it was attached to Despicable Me. I think, honestly, that's when I became a celebrity in my house. Before that, I was just daddy who mixes music and it's too loud and turn it down and what are you doing? But then Happy came along and was like, oh, he mixed something that's in a movie that we like. Ooh, daddy.
Right.
You know, I became kind of cool then. But now the 11-year-old thinks I'm the coolest person there. And her friends super think I'm cool. So like, that's the best feeling is to be working on stuff that they actually consume and they think is the greatest thing ever. And then my 8-year-old Isabel, she loves Cardi B. Clean version Cardi B, of course. And WAP, she's only allowed to listen to the instrumental. She can't even, like instrumental only. Thank you. But
that is good parenting, Leslie.
Yeah. But she loves I Like It Like That. That's like her favorite song in life. And, you know, so it's good to see your kids connect with the stuff that you're doing. That's fun. Because at first it was, like I said, it was like they weren't really connecting. And, you know, they'd be walking around the house singing. And what's funny is, and let me tell you what's the funniest thing. So Happy was up for an Oscar for Best Song in a Movie. But it was going up against Let It Go, the Anna and Elsa joint. That Let It Go ended up winning. And I wasn't even mad. I was like, you know what? Because my daughters really love this. I'm talking about they literally would braid their hair just so they can throw out the hair when she goes, let it go. They always would do their hair up before they sing the song so they could like, let it go, let it go. Like, you know, I know that song back and forth. So I didn't even mind losing to that song because they love that song so much. But like I said, it's cool when I kind of stepped up the ranks when I started mixing stuff they actually like.
Right.
I'm actually cool right now. I'm going to be uncool one day. So I'm enjoying the cool phase. Right. In a minute, they're going to be like, drop me off at the corner, please. Daddy, do you have to kiss me right now? Oh, come on, Daddy. And I'm embarrassing. I'm Zoe's dad at school. Like, I'm the dad that will come through embarrassing everybody. Like, I walk through the hall and be like, where's Zoe at? Where's Zoe at? Zoe, she'd be like, oh, Daddy, please, are you picking me up today? Oh.
Oh, man.
So, Tremaine, this next question's for you. And Marcus wants to know, what do you use for production, like Omnisphere? And do you use drum machines?
Oh, yeah. Again, everything is a tool. So I do use Omnisphere and Keyscape. I have a little like MPC pad that I carry around with me and little MIDI keyboard that I can throw in my suitcase when I got to travel. But I have keyboards galore. And I use Logic, Studio One, Pro Tools. I'm missing something. But I just jump. It literally depends on what I'm doing. So like this movie stuff, we had to do score. So I was more so into East West Orchestra, and that works in any of the DAWs. We had to do some jazz stuff, so I had to get Superior Drummer so I could do brushes and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff is expensive, but it's worth it. And especially like with the film stuff, we wrote it off and threw it into the budget as an expense. So they paid for some of those plugins. But yeah, I use everything. I mean, you know, leave no stone unturned. You got to see what everybody can do, what they bring to the table.
Right.
So our next question is from Hank Lee, and he wants to know, when did you gentlemen realize that you had something different to bring to this industry? And what is that something different you bring?
I think that evolves. I think one of the coolest things about your career in all of its different phases is when you can tap into what your gifting is at the moment and work really hard at it, and you'll be good at it, and you'll be the best at your unique gifting because it's your unique gifting. So once you figure out, like, so for me, early in my career, it was a speed thing. It was, I noticed that the thing that all the producers used to complain about is how long it took to align the tape machines and how long it took to, you know, recall the sessions. Back when we were on the large format consoles and actually had tape machines, those were the two things they complained about all the time. So I made it my mission of, okay, I'm going to be the fastest and most efficient, not just fastest, but most efficient person aligning tape machines. I'm going to be the fastest on recalls. And I got really good at that. And then it evolved. It evolved to different things in my career. So I would say always the basic general answer is, for me, just always figure out what your unique gifting is and really be good at that. And nobody could beat you at that because it's your unique gifting. So whatever that thing is, lean into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, it was earlier on, I wanted to be the producer, but I saw that engineering was the route to take. And so when I was working with producers, because I did still have a producer mindset, I didn't walk in there and tell them I was trying to be a producer, but I thought similar to them. So I was doing things before they asked me. And that was kind of my thing where like, that's really what made me thrive at Flight Time is like Jam. I knew what he wanted to do next. I knew his next step. So before he could turn around and ask me to do something, it was done or it was already prepared. It was waiting for him and thinking like him and thinking a step ahead of him and knowing what he's going to do before he's going to do it became my thing, especially with them. It was like, well, we don't even have to think anymore. Like it's done before we get to it. And then later on in my career, as I got around other super high level engineering professionals, I realized like my thing was I'm the good guy. Like a lot of people are jerks and, you know, they're good at what they do, but they're jerks. So they get work, but it's limited amounts of work versus I could work forever just off of reputation and personality and people wanting to be around. And so even if I don't know something yet, they know I'm willing to learn and they're willing to work with me to teach me because they're like, once he gets it, he's going to be good. And I just really love being around this dude. He's fun. He makes us laugh. Like it's a good vibe. So that's what I realized later in my career is like, everybody just likes and enjoys being around me.
And you know what's a trip? I could definitely attest to that because I heard of Tremaine before I met Tremaine. I've heard of him a few years ago. You know, he used to tell me about you all the time, Jay Brown. Jay Brown always tell me, man, Tremaine, like, and everybody who always asks me, did I know you? It's funny because like the way we click as friends, you would think we known each other for years and years. And so everybody who knew you would always be like assuming that we're friends because they know our personalities. And so everybody would always ask me, do I know you? And one thing I always know that was consistent about everybody who always asked me if I knew you is they would always speak very highly of, like, they always spoke highly of Tremaine and like, man, Tremaine is one of the best dudes. He's such a cool dude. You always got that kind of level of praise. So I agree that that is what worked for you as far as your personality and your reputation in the industry. I heard about you years before I met you.
That is dope.
Well, guys, we are just about out of time, but we'll do one quick lightning round, and that is coming from Miss Shawn. What are some of the best headphones to use for mixing?
Speakers. What are those?
These are the Odyssey.
Oh my God. Yo, those joints are crazy.
These Odyssey, I think these are the LCD-X's, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They're about $1,200. So they're a little pricey, but let me tell you, these are the best thing. Literally, I know people say this all the time, literally since sliced bread. It's like sliced bread, then these. Like real talk. Like these sound so, and it feels so good on your ears. I can't even hear y'all right now. I don't know what y'all saying about me, but these are amazing. So if you can afford them, the Odysseys.
Yeah.
But there are some other. I like the Bear Dynamics. Those are a little less pricey. I like those. The 770s or the 990s sound pretty good. And it's about your taste and what you're used to. But if you can afford it, if you got that little $1,200, $1,300 budget for the Odysseys, get them.
Leslie, yeah, chat's asking you to type that out in the chat for them so they know where to look.
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah, I think I spelled it wrong. But it's wild. I did a session for them probably like 4 or 5 years ago. We were doing an artist we were doing a session so they could use that music to demo in their headphones. Mm-hmm. We were at Record Plant and I didn't know what it was for. It was like the homies called me to just do the session. And I walked in and they had like 5 different pairs of their headphones laid across the desk. I was like, what is this? And I saw how high end they were. And then I was like, how much are these? And they had the top of the line ones there that was like 10 grand or something crazy. Yeah. I was like, this is nuts. I forgot about those.
I'm gonna buy another pair. Actually, I'm gonna buy the $4,000 pair soon. But they sound so good. And just to be clear, I just be wanting to say these kind of things so that the students know that we're genuine. I'm endorsing these off of pure love. Like I don't have an endorsement deal with them. I'm just telling you, these are the best headphones I ever listened to, like hands down. So yeah, I'm not trying to get you to go spend $1,300. I'm just telling you, it'll be the best $1,300 you've ever spent in your life.
In your life.
There's very few things that I've paid $1,300 for that I'm as happy with.
Well, guys, unfortunately, we are at time. So we just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us, for answering these questions. And as always, giving your time back to your Full Sail family. We love you guys and we appreciate you tremendously. To everyone who's joining us, thank you so much for tuning in and for taking advantage of these sessions. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you. So now we'll let you guys get back to your regularly scheduled programming, but just remember, wear your mask, stay socially distant, be safe, and we hope to see you guys again soon. Bye, guys.
All right, y'all.